Hello and welcome everyone to this video. In this video, we are going to be talking about the concept of a circumcircle and how the circumcircle actually reveals something very fundamental about circles as a shape. So to understand what a circumcircle is, first we need to understand what a perpendicular bisector is. A perpendicular bisector, by the way, is a kind of a construction, a special type of construction that we can make in triangles. So how do we make a perpendicular bisector? It's there in the name itself. If I draw a straight line, let me draw it in a different color. If I draw a straight line, which is perpendicular to the side of a triangle and also bisects that side of the triangle. Let's say that I'm drawing a straight line, which is perpendicular to BC and is passing through the midpoint of BC. Then this is called a perpendicular bisector of the triangle. And because the triangle has three sides, that means that all three sides will have a perpendicular bisector. I can draw a perpendicular bisector through every single side of the triangle. So there will be a perpendicular bisector to AC, which will be drawn like this, and a perpendicular bisector to AB, which will be drawn like this. And all the three perpendicular bisectors of a triangle will be concurrent, which means that they will meet at the same point. And this point of concurrency, this point at which all three perpendicular bisectors meet, is called the circumcenter of the circle. So this point is called the circumcenter. And the property of the circumcenter, if I call this point, say P, the property of this point P is that its distance from all three vertices are equal, which means that the distance between PA will be equal to the distance between P and B will be equal to the distance between P and C. That implies that if we construct a circle, which has its center at P and takes any one of these three lengths, PA or PB or PC, as its radius, then that circle will perfectly circumscribe the triangle. So of course, this figure is not drawn to scale. But just so you know, if I take P as a center, because P does not look like the center of the circle at all. But if we had taken P as a center and if we could take PA, PB or PC as a radius, then we can draw a circle which perfectly circumscribes the triangle. Circumscribes the triangle means that the three vertices of the triangle lie on the circumference of the circle. Then such a circle is called the circumcircle. So circumcircle center is the circumcenter, which in turn is the meeting point of the perpendicular bisectors of the triangle. Now, why this theorem is very fundamental to circles itself, how it reveals a very fundamental property of circles itself is that we have to think of the fact that what is the minimum number of points required to define a triangle on a plane. So on a plane, minimum number of points required to define a triangle is 3 non-collinear points. Why? Because those 3 non-collinear points can be the vertices of the triangle, and if I define the vertices, then it defines a unique triangle. So 3 non-collinear points in space in a plane defines a triangle. Every triangle has got only one circumcenter, which means every triangle has got only one circumcircle. And that circumcircle passes through those 3 very points that we use to define the triangle. Which means I can say that if 3 non-collinear points can define a triangle, then similarly 3 non-collinear points are enough to define a circle as well, because all triangles have got only one circumcircle. And that circumcircle passes through the 3 vertices of the triangle. So that is the most fundamental theorem that we have all studied in school. Minimum number of points required to define a circle on a plane is 3 non-collinear points. If you have got 3 non-collinear points on a plane, then definitely one circle will pass through it. Also, only one circle will pass through it. You cannot have 2 circles passing through the same 3 non-collinear points as does some other circle. So to define a unique circle, we need to define 3 non-collinear points on a plane. That property of circles gets revealed by the existence of the circumcircle of triangles. Thank you.